What is up, tube users? I'm the Stereotypical Gamer, and welcome back to another fantastically fun games for under $15. Today, we are taking a look at an old game that I just recently added to my library and I've been having a blast with, and that is Risk of Rain 2. Now, this is your typical third-person shooter roguelite game, and while I don't really think there's anything that stands out as unique, I think the game as a whole is kind of unique to the genre. And I think what this game does really well is accentuate what it is to be a roguelite. Typically what I like in a roguelite is you start as a fresh character, level 1, and over the game you build yourself up to be this incredibly powerful being that's like omnipresent, like a god almost, just slaying everything in your path. Those are the kind of roguelites I love, and this game exemplifies that perfectly. And there is a lot of RNG involved in trying to get those perfect runs, but when you do, it just makes it all the more satisfying, and it's really cool to see like just the different builds that you can build up to be just super powerful in this game, and I just absolutely adore it for that. And I love the level design and gameplay design of this game. So basically how it works is you're dropped into these, I don't think they're randomly generated, I think there's a couple of different levels, but basically you're dropped into these levels and you have to go and find a teleporter, and I think the teleporter is like randomly generated where it's placed on the map, so you do have to do some exploration to try and find it. And just the overall level design is just really cool, combined with the music. The soundtrack in this game is just phenomenal. It's one of the few games that I own the soundtrack for because it was just that good playing through it. Yeah, and it just has such a really good atmosphere to it that just makes it super fun to get immersed into and just slay out. Yeah, basically you're just dropped onto these planets and your goal is just to find the teleporter. Throughout the level there's different like upgrades and stuff to your character that you'll get, and there's a lot of different and unique things that you can upgrade and stuff, so it really becomes fun just to see what you can build out. And yeah, there is RNG, like there's just like random loot crates that you'll find that have different loot in them, but there's also ones that you can actually choose what you want, so you can kind of build out in the way you want as long as you know what it does, because there's no descriptions of like the items that you pick up, but once you pick them up it tells you the description. So once you know what the icon looks like, you start to get an understanding. And yeah, it's a really cool way of just understanding the game. Each run I feel like I've learned something new and I can take that into the next run, even though I'm not taking anything into the next run. It's just kind of cool to have that knowledge kind of pass on through runs. And then once you find the teleporter, you activate it and it starts charging up, and during that time like a boss or multiple bosses, kind of depending on your RNG, are summoned, and you just have to survive until the teleporter is charged up. So that's basically it. You'll just go to different levels, it'll get increasingly difficult as time goes on, and I think that's another cool mechanic that this game does, is you can stay on the first level indefinitely, and enemies will stop spawning once you activate the teleporter, so you don't really want to stay there forever, but you technically could never activate it and just stay there and just see how far you can go, because the enemies will keep increasing in difficulty over time. And it's just a really cool, interesting way of kind of doing things, because you want to go around and explore, you want to go get this loot, but you're also kind of time gated by the difficulty of the game, and it's not something that really happens all that often, and it kind of makes it difficult for a new player because they don't really have an understanding of where they need to go or the different items and stuff like that. But then once you get a little bit better hang of things, once you understand the levels and where the teleporters usually spawn, you can get to those places quicker and everything just becomes more smooth each and every run that you do, and I love that about this game. And yeah, I love feeling like I'm just getting more powerful by getting like a really good RNG run and just going further than I've gone before, but then I also feel like in runs where I don't have as good at RNG, I still can get pretty far, like farther than I should be able to go, just because of the knowledge of everything that I've learned throughout the game, and that's just a really fun and satisfying feeling. And I love how unique each character feels playing this game. They all have different loadouts, and each character has like a multitude of different things that you can customize in their loadout to make them even more unique, and just overall their gameplay style feels totally different from one another. And well, it's really fun to see that contrast playing single player. It's also really cool to see that synergize together in co-op. Just speaking of the co-op, I love the scaling difficulty in this game when you add friends to the lobby. It still feels like you're playing single player almost, but with friends, and it just makes it so much more unique that way. It never feels like it's super difficult with more people or it's easier with more people. It just literally feels like I'm playing single player, but now I have friends with me to slay all these enemies around. But while I do enjoy this game a whole lot and I'm having a ton of fun with it, there are a few issues with it, and let's get into those. One small issue that I have with this game is I don't really like how the upgrade system works. Basically, you get cash by killing monsters and through little containers throughout the world, and then you use that cash to unlock the loot boxes that get you the upgrades that you want for your character and whatnot. But once you complete the level, you're wiped of all your But then once you complete the level, you're wiped of all your cash and you kind of just start fresh on the next level, and everything just becomes more expensive and you gain more money from mobs that way, so it really becomes this confusing scaling that doesn't really feel like scaling ever, if that makes any sense. And it just seems like there's no point as to why my cash is getting wiped from teleporting to these different levels, and it makes me want to kind of explore through the whole level to make sure that I didn't miss anything and make sure I use all the cash I can before getting to the next level, which is something you don't really want to do in this game, because you do want to try and go fast and get to these next places, because the more time you spend, the more difficult things become. And then this is just a small thing for me being a new player and all, but I wish there was a way that I could just pause the game just to see what my different icons and upgrades that I have are, just so I can get an idea and kind of memorize them, because you can press tab and it will show you all the different icons and stuff, but you can't actually see what they do. The only time you ever see what they do is when you first pick them up, and it's like a text at the bottom of the screen, and if you pick it up in combat, you really don't get a chance to see that. So sometimes I just miss what this thing I just picked up does, and sometimes it can be detrimental because it can be like something really good that I just don't know how to use. But I think those things are just because of the lack of experience with this game. But overall, I'm having a ton of fun, and those are my only real complaints about this game. I think everything else is just phenomenal. I love the art style. The third-person aiming mechanics are really smooth and really well done. And just, yeah, it's just an overall satisfying roguelike third-person shooter game. Then my only other issue with this game is the baseline price for this game for the amount of content that it has. And while it is a roguelite that definitely has like endless replayability, the level designs do kind of get repetitive quickly, even though you are fighting in different areas and it is a vast open space. It does kind of get repetitive quickly, just kind of scouring through these areas for loot. But I think right now, for the discounted price of $8.24, it is a great game and an absolute steal for that price. And even though this game has been out for over 4 years and the development team has released like new Risk of Rain games now, this game still gets pretty frequent updates and just different DLCs and stuff. So there's a lot of content now to this game. Obviously some of the stuff that you have to buy DLC wise, but overall everything content wise in this game is really solid and really fun. And especially for the price it's at now, I would highly recommend it. And I love the exploration to try and find the teleporter on each level. I really think that's a fun game design, but I wish the loot boxes were a little bit like better colored. I think the blue saturation to them on some levels kind of makes it hard to see, especially the small containers, which the small containers are the only ones that you can open for free and actually give you money, are super hard to find sometimes on these like darker levels where they're just dark blue containers that you have to find stuck in the ground. So I wish there was something you could do about that, but other than that, I mean, there's nothing else I could say about this game that I haven't said already. This game is absolutely phenomenal. I highly recommend you try it out, and yeah, just have a blast with it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a like if you did, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.